Pritchard, Alabama is one drastic example of pensions in peril, but there are problems with underfunding across the country. Joining me now from Charleston, West Virginia, Acting Governor Earl Tomblin. Thanks for joining us, Governor.
Well, thank you, Lark. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Well, let's just talk about what's happening in West Virginia. You know, like many states, West Virginia has a pension problem. Just tell us in your own words how you describe it. For example, would you say it's a crisis? What do you call it?
Oh, absolutely not. I think at one period in time back in the late 1980s, early 1990s, we were close to a crisis in West Virginia with our teachers' retirement system. However, we put ourselves on a 40-year payout plan and have been able to actually fund each and every year the amount the actuary said was needed to pay off our liability in our teachers' retirement program. And because of the surpluses we've had over the past 6 or 8 years, we've been able to put an additional $1.8 billion toward our retirement systems, our teachers' retirement system. So in effect, we've gone from being about 18% funded to we're nearly 47% funded, and we've made great strides.
Let's just talk about one area, as you mentioned, that got an awful lot of attention. This was the whole question of the teachers and the teacher pension, you know, but by one survey, for example, saying that you were last in the nation in terms of the funding of the teacher pension. So where do you stand now in terms of that? And are you concerned that if you don't have a great pension, especially combined with lower pay, you won't be able to attract good teachers?
Well, I think our pension fund, I know our pension fund is solid enough now. We're not having to go on a pay-as-you-go basis each year. Our amount of liability, our percentage of liability goes down each and every year. So we are moving our pension system forward. So there's no fear at all right now of retirees not being able to receive their monthly retirement checks like there was back in the 1980s.
Right. Let's just listen to something that you said in the State of the State address where you were quite optimistic.
Sure. For too long, the state have failed to fund our pension programs, and many of the programs were unsustainable. This year, because of our hard work and good investment returns, we will need to put less into our pension systems than we did previously.
So, Governor, I'll give you a chance to brag a little bit. So what did you do? What was the fiscal management that worked there that got you some savings?
Well, basically what it was our state investment board did a really good job last year, and fortunately the stock market produced for us. So therefore we had to put $8 million less than we did the previous year in, which freed up $8 million to use for other programs in the state of West Virginia.
And yet we're still in a weak economy, you know, even if the recession is technically over. So talk about the role that the recession played in the pension funding problems, or when the economy truly turns around, will there still be a pension funding problem in this country?
Well, first of all, let me say West Virginia is one of a handful of states, maybe about 3 states, that ended the last fiscal year once again with a surplus. So far this year, we're nearly $250 million over our estimate, which means that the economy in West Virginia is improving and we're doing much better than most other states. Obviously, we will still have an unfunded liability in our pension systems, but as long as we stay on our 40-year plan, we make our payments each year, I think we're going to be fine in the state of West Virginia. We've just made such improvements over the last several years, and we continue to improve. So I see a bright picture for the state of West Virginia.
Let's talk about the options that are available to you. Obviously, you're hoping that the economy continues to improve, but do you realistically have to talk about raising the retirement age, cutting back benefits, and talk about what you've already done in terms of new hires?
Well, we have not had to raise the retirement age in West Virginia, and with our new hires, we continue to be able to bring new teachers into our school system. I have an incentive this year. It's not much, but it's an $800 pay raise, and we've not had to lay off any employees, either teachers or public employees in West Virginia. And $800 does not sound like a whole lot of money, but our teachers and our school service personnel have gone without a pay raise for the last 3 years. So it's a one-time infusion of money into the salaries of teachers. It's not an ongoing one, just in case the economy would go south on us. What we've tried to do is not build our base budget in West Virginia.
But specifically looking at the issue of pensions, will the pensions for future hires be different? In other words, a lower level of benefits than for people already in the system?
No, for the new hires will have exactly the same. It's a defined benefit plan that we have in the state of West Virginia, and we feel like that we can afford the plan that we have, and we will go forward with it.
Let's talk about something that's getting some attention, and this is the idea of whether or not states ought to have the ability to declare bankruptcy. Is that an option that you'd like to have as a governor?
Well, I think probably a lot of people would like to have that option, but we do not have that option. In West Virginia, we have to have a balanced budget each and every year. We can't operate the way the federal government does by printing more money. So we are confined in West Virginia, but what our estimates are, we cannot spend any more than that in West Virginia. So in past several years, we've not had to spend all the money. We've had surpluses that we've been able to divert into our pension systems, which helps us pay down our liabilities much quicker.
Now, I understand you don't have that ability right now, but it is being talked about. Some are suggesting that bankruptcy laws need to be changed, and specifically the laws as it relates to whether or not states should be allowed to void pension contracts. Is that something you would like to have? Is that something through the Governors Association that you'd want to push or lobby for?
Well, since that's not a real problem for us right now, I know that many of our sister states and many of the governors out there are facing those huge deficits right now. They're having to make huge cuts, they're having to increase taxes and so forth. But here in West Virginia, we're not having to do that. And I'm not sure that once you give an employee a benefit like a retirement program, that we can legally take that away. At least our Supreme Court has said you could not do that. Once you make that commitment, you've got to pay it.
So, Governor, what's your message here? First of all, are you hopeful? And then what would you say, to retirees about where we are in this country generally about the state of our pensions? As you know, some retirees and people facing retirement are quite concerned. What do you say to them?
Well, and I really hate that. It's a shame, what the recession has done to our pension plans around the country. The only thing I can say to the retirees in West Virginia, that your pension plan is funded. You will continue to receive your monthly benefits, and that's something because of the financial planning and the responsible way we've handled our tax dollars in West Virginia, that we're able to say that to our retirees in West Virginia. I just hope that the other states can figure out a way that they can continue to pay their benefits to their retirees.
Well, Governor, we appreciate you joining us today. West Virginia Governor Earl Tomblin.
Thank you, Lark.